Everyone knows someone like this. They're incredibly intelligent. They read constantly. They have brilliant ideas. They can solve problems that leave everyone else confused. People admire their potential. They often hear things like, "You could do anything if you really wanted to," but months go by, then years, and somehow they're still stuck. They start projects with excitement, only to abandon them halfway through. They begin learning a new skill, become obsessed with it for 2 weeks, then suddenly lose interest. They make detailed plans, buy expensive courses, fill notebooks with goals. But consistency, it always seems to disappear. At first glance, it makes no sense. Shouldn't intelligent people be the most disciplined? Shouldn't they have an easier time staying focused? Surprisingly, psychology tells a very different story. In fact, many highly intelligent people struggle with consistency for reasons that have almost nothing to do with laziness. Their greatest strength often becomes their biggest weakness. Let's begin with one uncomfortable truth. Smart people don't just think more. They think differently. Most people look at a task and ask, "How do I do this?" Highly intelligent people often ask, "What's the best possible way to do this?" That sounds like an advantage until you realize they've spent 3 hours optimizing a plan that someone else completed in 30 minutes. This is called analysis paralysis. The brain becomes trapped inside endless possibilities. Should I start today or Monday? Should I use this method? Or maybe there's a better one. Should I take this course first or read another book? Each decision creates another decision. Eventually, thinking replaces doing. Ironically, intelligence makes it easier to justify delay, because smart people can always invent another logical reason to wait, then something even stranger happens. Intelligent minds crave novelty. The human brain naturally seeks dopamine, the chemical linked to motivation and reward. For many highly intelligent people, new ideas create enormous dopamine spikes. Starting something feels exciting. Learning something new feels addictive. But repetition is different. Doing the same workout every morning, writing every day, practicing the same skill for months. These activities become predictable. The excitement fades. Without realizing it, intelligent people begin chasing new interests instead of mastering old ones. They mistake curiosity for progress. Every new project feels like growth, but unfinished projects rarely change lives. Mastery almost always looks boring before it looks impressive. Psychologists have found that expertise isn't built from extraordinary moments, it's built from ordinary repetitions. And that's exactly what many bright minds struggle to tolerate. Another hidden obstacle is perfectionism. Most people think perfectionism means having high standards. That's only part of the story, psychologically. Perfectionism is often fear wearing a disguise. Imagine 2 people starting a YouTube channel. One uploads imperfect videos every week. The other spends 6 months trying to make the perfect first video. Who grows faster? The answer seems obvious, yet perfectionism convinces intelligent people that waiting is productive. If I just improve it one more time, if I study a little more, if I prepare a little better, weeks become months. Preparation quietly replaces action. The tragedy is that perfection doesn't protect you from failure. It simply delays experience. Another fascinating reason intelligent people struggle with consistency is because they overestimate motivation. Movies and social media have taught us that successful people wake up inspired every morning. Reality is much less glamorous. Motivation is unreliable. It rises, it falls, it disappears. People who stay consistent don't rely on motivation. They rely on habits. This distinction changes everything. Imagine brushing your teeth. You don't wait until you feel inspired. You simply do it. Consistency becomes effortless when behavior turns into identity. But intelligent people often keep searching for the feeling. The feeling rarely arrives. Psychologists call this the motivation myth. Action usually creates motivation, not the other way around. The first 5 minutes are often the hardest. Once the brain detects progress, motivation begins catching up. Waiting. To feel motivated is like waiting for your car to move before starting the engine. It simply doesn't work that way. Then, there's overthinking. Highly intelligent people are exceptionally good at imagining future outcomes, unfortunately. The brain doesn't distinguish between useful planning and excessive worrying before taking action. They mentally simulate dozens of possibilities. What if I fail? What if people laugh? What if I waste my time? What if someone better comes along? What if this isn't the right career? What if I regret choosing this path? Every possibility feels real. Eventually, the emotional weight becomes exhausting. Doing nothing starts feeling safer than making the wrong choice. The strange irony is that average decision makers often outperform brilliant thinkers simply because they make decisions faster. Progress rewards movement, not perfect certainty. Here's another psychological pattern that's rarely discussed: intelligent. People often tie their identity to being smart as children. They were praised for intelligence. Teachers admired them. Family members called them gifted. Over time, being smart became part of who they were. But consistency requires becoming a beginner over and over again. Learning guitar means sounding terrible at first. Starting a business means making mistakes. Learning another language means embarrassing yourself. Every new skill temporarily threatens the identity of being the smart person. Some people avoid practice because practice exposes weakness, not permanently, temporarily. Yet the ego doesn't like temporary weakness. So instead of risking failure, many intelligent people stay inside activities where they already feel competent. Growth quietly disappears. Then comes boredom. This surprises many people. Highly intelligent minds often process information quickly. Tasks that challenge others may become repetitive much sooner. The problem isn't lack of ability. The problem is lack of stimulation. Routine starts feeling mentally uncomfortable. The brain begins craving complexity. That's why many gifted individuals jump between hobbies, careers, business ideas, or creative projects. Not because they're irresponsible, because their minds constantly seek novelty. Unfortunately, success usually rewards depth more than variety. Digging one deep well produces water. Digging 50 shallow holes usually doesn't. Another psychological trap is unrealistic expectations. Intelligent people often expect rapid improvement. After all, they usually learn quickly. So when progress slows, it always does. They assume something is wrong. The excitement of the beginning disappears. Results become smaller. Learning becomes repetitive. This stage is known as the plateau. Most people quit here not because they're incapable, because improvement becomes invisible. The brain mistakes invisible progress for no progress. But beneath the surface, something remarkable is happening. Neural pathways are strengthening. Skills are becoming automatic. Confidence is quietly forming. Unfortunately, you can't see those changes day by day. Only months later, consistency demands faith in invisible progress, and that's difficult for everyone, including highly intelligent people. Let's talk about another overlooked reason: decision fatigue. Smart people make thousands of tiny decisions every day. They constantly analyze, compare, evaluate, predict. By evening, mental energy is drained. Even simple choices begin feeling difficult. Should I work out? Should I read? Should I work on my side business? Should I relax? The more decisions you make, the weaker your self-control becomes. That's why many successful people simplify their lives. They wear similar clothes, follow routines, eat similar breakfasts, schedule work at fixed times, not because they lack creativity, because they protect their mental energy, what truly matters. Consistency thrives when decisions disappear. Then there's emotional inconsistency. Highly intelligent people often experience emotions intensely. Their imagination amplifies everything. A small setback becomes a major disappointment. One negative comment overshadows 100 positive ones. One failure convinces them they're on the wrong path. Psychologists call this cognitive distortion. The brain magnifies temporary events into permanent conclusions. I missed one workout, becomes I'm terrible at consistency. I had one bad presentation, becomes I'm not cut out for this. These stories become self-fulfilling. Behavior follows belief, the most consistent. People aren't those who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to build an identity around failure. Another fascinating concept comes from behavioral psychology. Your environment often determines your consistency more than your personality. If your phone sits beside your desk, distractions become automatic. If healthy food isn't available, unhealthy choices become easier. If your workspace encourages focus, productive behavior becomes more natural. Intelligent people sometimes assume they can rely on willpower. Research repeatedly shows otherwise. Environment beats willpower surprisingly often. Change the environment, change the behavior. One of the biggest myths about successful people is that they possess extraordinary discipline. Many don't. They simply remove unnecessary friction. Want to exercise? Lay your clothes out the night before? Want to read? Keep books where you usually sit? Want to write? Open the document before leaving your desk. Tiny environmental changes create massive behavioral differences over time. Perhaps the deepest psychological reason smart people struggle with consistency is because they underestimate the power of small actions. Intelligent minds naturally think in big ideas. Big visions, big transformations. But life changes through tiny repeated behaviors. Reading 10 pages every day, writing 500 words daily, walking 30 minutes every morning, saving $20 every week, meditating for 10 minutes. None of these actions seem impressive until they've been repeated hundreds of times. Psychology calls this the compound effect of habits. Tiny actions become extraordinary outcomes because they multiply instead of merely adding. Together, consistency isn't dramatic. It's almost invisible. That's why people overlook it. Imagine two airplanes leaving the same airport. One changes direction by only 1 degree at first. The difference is impossible to notice. Hours later, they're landing in completely different countries. Top human behavior works the same way. Small, repeated choices eventually produce completely different lives. The smartest people eventually realize something. Profound intelligence opens doors. Consistency keeps them open. Talent creates opportunity. Repetition creates mastery. Potential earns compliments. Discipline earns results. Your IQ might help you understand success, but your daily habits determine whether you ever experience it. At the end of the day, success doesn't ask how intelligent you are. It asks one simple question. Can you keep showing up after the excitement disappears? Because anyone can work hard when they're inspired. The real transformation begins when you continue working on ordinary days. Days when motivation is gone. Days when progress feels invisible. Days when quitting seems reasonable. Those are the days that quietly shape extraordinary lives. If you found this video valuable and enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind human behavior, intelligence, habits, and success, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We publish new psychology-based videos designed to help you understand yourself and the people around you on a much deeper level. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think is the biggest reason intelligent people struggle with? Consistency, overthinking, perfectionism, boredom, fear of failure, or something else? Share your answer in the comments below, and let's start a meaningful discussion.